We are live now. Hello, everybody. I'm some Loudmouth on the internet with an opinion, and I'm here today joined by Creationist Cat's worthless human slave, Vadim Newquist. How are you doing today, Vadim?
Assalamu alaikum. I'm very well, thank you.
Okay. Let's see. What to talk about? See any good movies lately?
Yeah, I've seen a few good movies. I think the last one that I saw in the theaters was Blade Runner 2049, which I believe you just saw.
Yes, I just saw it. And genuinely, I thought it was really good. I heard it by the same director. I forgot his name, Dennis something, who made The Arrival, which was also really good. And I heard he's eventually going to reboot Dune, maybe adaptation of Frank Herbert's Dune.
Okay, that'll work. I think a lot of people really kind of underrate David Lynch's Dune. I think David Lynch's Dune is pretty sweet, but I don't know. I'm not like one of these people who I tried to read the books and just I couldn't do it. It was just...
You read the book though? I mean, there's first of all, you cannot make that book into a 2-hour movie. It is absolutely impossible. All right, because that book is just massive.
They'll make it like a 5-6 picture epic because there's lots of Dune books, and yeah, they're going to stretch that shit out because
I think you could do it okay in 2 movies, maybe like Dune Part 1 and Dune Part 2, kind of.
Maybe I just think that Hollywood these days is all about like stretching things out as long as they could possibly just squeeze every little fucking dollar they can out of something. But yeah, I was pretty psyched with Blade Runner 2049. I mean, to tell you the truth, the original Blade Runner is like maybe top 5, but definitely within my top 10 favorite movies of all time. It's just so iconic, and I love the more than anything. I love the themes that run through it. Like there's just all these like kind of themes that Ridley Scott recently has been exploring a lot more with like his newer Alien films and whatnot, just having to do with mortality and kind of the concepts of God and shit. I don't want to read into it too much and sound like a pretentious asshole, but I dug it.
I found what was it? Prometheus kind of a tad pretentious. Like what was it talks about how like we're the creation of these aliens, and it kind of goes into this people saying constantly, I refuse to believe that man is the result of a process of accidental natural selection. I'm like, why not? Science seems to have shown that's the case pretty goddamn well.
Well, to me, like, okay, it's an incredibly flawed film, but there's nothing like it in terms of like sci-fi blockbusters that are out these days. I think it's really clear that he kind of wanted to take kind of like the Alien mold and kind of add sort of, I think, a Kubrickian kind of sense of like not wonder, just mystery. Like there's a lot of shit in that movie is really enigmatic, and really just the answers aren't there. And that's what frustrated a lot of people who watched the movie, but I happen to like that aspect of it. I think it's pretty fucking awesome, but I don't think it's a perfect film by any means. I think it's a lot better than Alien Covenant, but I thought Alien Covenant was still pretty good. I don't know. I
liked Alien Covenant. I definitely said when it came out, it's the best Alien movie since 1986, or the best Alien movie in 30 years.
Yeah, I didn't like it as much as the one before it, but I thought it was overall pretty decent. I mean, it kind of, I missed some of those elements of mystery and weirdness in Covenant. I thought, like, I wanted to see just a little bit more surreal, crazy shit that I couldn't possibly explain, and would have what the fuck was that?
More played up the horror elements, and I like that he kept both movies as hard R-rated flicks, and PG-13 them as like so many shitty Hollywood movies do today.
Yeah, I agree.
Like that was the biggest problem with like the first Alien versus Predator. I mean, it may have been a decent dumb slasher kind of flick. It still wouldn't have been good if it had R-rated cussing and violence and what have you. But at least it kind of would have had that gratuitous factor to it. But with the whole PG-13 aspect, the way they cut that movie's balls off by limiting it to PG-13 level, it really is just kind of preschool shit.
Yeah, it was. Well, that movie was hot garbage. I don't know. I mean, maybe not as bad as Alien versus Predator Part 2, but Alien versus Predator Part 2 is so insanely awful that
that was actually the first movie I reviewed. I fucking hate that movie. That movie sucks so bad.
Oh no, it's horrible, but it's pretty entertaining in its horribleness. Like, you know, it does reach those so bad it's good levels in my.
I don't think it does. I just found the whole thing kind of painful to watch, particularly scenes when you're trying to make out what's going on. The camera's so fucking dark you can't see goddamn shit.
Yeah, dude. Speaking of seeing goddamn shit, can you see me?
Ew, that's fun. Yeah, can you remember to retweet? I tweeted.
Check out my beard, motherfuckers!
There's that. Yeah, I'm growing a little bit of one. Well, I usually grow it out in the winter and then go clean shaven in the summer. That's what I usually do.
Yeah.
Kind of deal. And now it's kind of fall, so I got the scruffy look going on.
Yeah, I like it. I do you.
Yeah. There's been a lot of drama lately with the whole mouthy Buddha video. I actually just watched that today.
Garbage.
It's fucking terrible. I was genuinely shocked. I mean, I thought maybe these SJWs were like making a mountain out of a molehill or about it. It wasn't that bad. Then I watched it. I'm like, it is that bad. It is Holocaust denial.
Well, you know, I'm willing to believe that it's this sort of experiment gone awry, meaning like he has some videos down the horizon that will put it all in perspective and kind of.
Yeah,
but you know, it doesn't fucking matter. Like it's just irresponsible to put shit like that out there to make all of these assertions and then kind of not back up why they're bullshit. And he's basically, you know, if you comb through those comments, like there's so many comments from people saying things like, "Oh, this is great for me to red pill my friends with." So, you know, if his intention was to kind of like refute the claims of fucking alt-right douchebags of Holocaust deniers, he mission not accomplished, man.
He did a really bad. If that was his goal, he did a terrible job. I mean, plus, this one comment by Braving Ruin, formerly Edgy Sphinx, really like raised some eyebrows when he said that that skeptics to trademark who were defending that were basically fools. All right, because he said Mouthy Buddha went even further than I did, but the difference is he didn't go questioning their cabal like I did. I'm like, holy shit, you know, the guy may be a fascist, racist, psychopathic prick, but he seemed like he was telling the truth there.
Yeah, no, he was right. I'm like in a little a chat group on Twitter, and a friend of mine like tweeted that thread and said something like, "God damn it, I hate it when Nazis are right." And yeah, he more or less was correct. And that's the thing. That's like, you know, there's so often these people that just kind of slyly attach their means and their points of view into kind of like the more mainstream places. And it really fucking mystifies me that people aren't more sensitive to that people don't see it. There was that article recently that came out all about Milo and about how he was really collaborating pretty hardcore with, you know, not white identitarians, but like straight up alt-righters and shit in his you know, you know what I'm talking about? It was like a BuzzFeed article that came out.
I think I missed that one. I've been working a lot this week.
You should read it. And I also want to, I feel like because BuzzFeed, it deservedly gets a bad rap because of like those shitty pop feminist videos that they make,
which are terrible.
Which are fucking horrible. But to anyone who is like hearing me talk about this article, what you may not know is they have a journalism branch which is completely separate from the people who create that pop feminist bullshit. And it's actually like they do good journalism. They've won prestigious awards and shit. And again, it's just like it's basically like two different branches that just were bought out and joined together. So don't let that, if anyone has kind of thought like, I don't want to read that because that's BuzzFeed, don't let that stop you. It is.
Yeah. I mean, there was this one article. I mean, remember Tyler Preston did kind of a parody of it, though. That article that compared King Kong, that King Kong was racist. I'm like, fuck off, you know?
Yeah. Well, see, that's the shitty part. That's not their like real bona fide journalism branch. And
right. I did a joke when I was chatting with Tyler. I said, you know, that last time you grabbed a white woman and climbed the top of the Empire State Building, man, that wasn't cool.
Right. Well, this article is seriously like one of the most interesting articles I've read this year. And if anyone kind of like just wants to see the obvious way that, I don't know, the alt-right has kind of infiltrated the mainstream and influenced a lot of people here on YouTube, read that fucking article. It's all there.
Yeah, it's worth noting I've kind of done probably more videos attacking the regressive left and SJWs than I have the alt-right, but I've probably gotten more hate comments from alt-righters than I have from SJWs. And you look at my my channel analytics, if you look at my videos where I attack someone like Sargon or something like that, versus a video where I attack Steve Shives or Riley Dennis, the like to dislike ratio is much better on my videos attacking like easy targets like Riley Dennis than on people like Sargon.
Of course, that's really just, I mean, that's like the Big Mac of the YouTube skeptic community is like these SJWs who usually are like 16-year-old kids. And yeah, don't get me wrong. I mean, like some of these people, like sometimes they're super wrong, and sometimes they're not 16-year-old kids in their parents' you know, like basements and shit.
Well,
and they should be challenged. But the amount of focus that we have on these people who are not shaping policy at all is fucking crazy to me.
I get what you're talking about, but particularly when such attitudes are so prevalent among the young who are eventually going to be the ruling voting class, it really is kind of necessary to focus on them in order to kind of nip bad ideas in the bud. Why I do kind of focus.
But let me ask you this: what do you think these bad ideas are going to lead to? Like what policies do you foreseeably see coming down the road as a result of these SJWs? Like,
well, one of the big things that has gotten me very nervous are these various laws that limit due process for men accused of sex crimes. I mean, those have me very scared because, you know, any guy could just piss off the wrong chick and she could make up a lie, and you'll be put in a kangaroo court where you're essentially guilty until proven innocent. And that always has me very worried when I see videos like that one Lacey Green made last year about how we should always believe people who claim that they were sexually assaulted, because if it puts basically innocent men like on the cutting block, you know.
Okay, but I mean, look, I think there's some merit to what you're saying. I mean, that there are some times where perhaps things are stacked against men and it's not quite fair. But I wouldn't necessarily say that is like either a new thing or I'm I'm asking you for legislation that you think would come down the line as a result of SJWs being in power that really validates kind of putting the great deal, like the majority of emphasis on YouTube on them as a group.
Well, particularly in this, less of problem is more a problem in Europe and other countries than it is in America. Is many SJWs do believe in hate speech exceptions. Like Count Dankula is a good example. He did that stupid little prank where he trained his dog to do a Nazi salute. And
Sure.
he's like facing criminal charges back in Scotland. That's bullshit, you know. Maybe the joke was in bad taste, but that's a harmless joke.
Okay,
You know?
I agree with you 100%. Like, that's a situation where he should not be in the position that he is. And that is, you know, a decent example of kind of like, I guess it's hard. Like I use the term SJW begrudgingly because we should, after we talk about this one thing, we should kind of define that word. But anyhow, my point is this: that for me, those kind of things, even though that sucks, and we should try our best to address those things, those sorts of incidents are nothing compared to, say, kind of like groups kind of, well, again, yes, maybe I'm kind of being very American centric here, but like fucking Trump just made all of these executive orders that could very well destroy healthcare for hundreds of thousands of Americans, maybe millions of Americans, and that's nothing compared to an occasional instance of like some SJW assholes doing some unfortunate thing to somebody like what's his face, Count Dankula. Yeah. You know, I think that the proportions are really like they just don't weigh out. You know, they're not balanced.
I mean, I've called Trump out on his shit. I'm a libertarian myself. I voted for Gary Johnson in the 2016 elections. I hated both of the main candidates so much I couldn't bring myself to vote for either of them. So I just kind of threw my vote away on a third party guy who was okay. That was the way I looked at it. And Trump definitely has some very tyrannical leanings, like that tweet where he talked about eliminating the broadcasting licenses of certain news organizations critical of him. It is kind of scary stuff, I will admit.
Talked about that. He's talked about literally, I think he said that he would like to see the death penalty implemented for people who burn the flag, or maybe he just said jail.
I don't think he said the death penalty, but he did say he wanted criminal penalties for flag burning. Yes, he didn't say death penalty.
Maybe the death penalty. Maybe I'm just kind of messing that up in my head. But he's also made numerous kind of just not just that NBC thing, but he's said numerous things that sound like a total threat to freedom of the press.
Oh, yeah.
And there's some other examples. I wish I had them at the ready. And you know, it's pretty interesting that all of these free speech warriors and don't get me wrong, free speech is very important, but all these right-wing people who normally are just kind of talking about how much the SJWs are robbing us of our free speech, 9 times out of 10 they're suspiciously silent when shit like that goes on.
Oh, you're absolutely right about that. Like, I tweeted out what Sean Hannity said when this one Republican was critical of what Trump said about the broadcasting licenses and stood up for the First Amendment. Sean Hannity said he regretted supporting him because he's standing against Trump. I'm like, fuck you, Sean Hannity. There is a 0% chance that if Obama had said that 2 years ago, that he wouldn't have flipped his shit out over it. All right.
Another thing that really cracks me up that people are on the right are there's a few people who kind of call it out for the bullshit that it is, but there are all these anti-SJWs who have gone on the like Trump anti-NFL bandwagon, and it's like those people are totally exercising their free speech in the most benign fucking way. And you've got people like Andy Warski, who criticizes people for being triggered snowflakes. And he's talking about how like if you don't like this country, get the fuck out, man. I mean, that is so dumb. All these people are doing is kneeling. It's the most innocuous form of protest there is.
Right, but at the same time, the NFL is a private organization, and they could fire any player they want for any reason they want because it's a private organization. If they feel that that kind of protest, kind of making a political stand before a game, if they feel that's kind of threatening their profits and driving their audience away, they are free to take action as a private organization against that. Government-wise, that absolutely
they could be free. Like, you could burp and they could fire you. You know,
yeah, exactly.
You know, I mean, like, you can pretty much do anything and they could probably find an excuse to fire you. But does that make it really all right? I mean, is it within does it honor the expression of free? Sorry, like, I'm a little
speech. Yeah, I mean, yeah, personally, I don't really give a shit. I'm not much of a football fan. So it's kind of like one of those issues that people talk about that really doesn't sway me either way about. But I kind of see the point on both sides, and the fact that
I not see the point on the side of, like, fire them because they're kneeling. I mean, you're just like, they're not, like, maybe if they were, like, holding up a sign that says, like, fuck all y'all motherfuckers and suck my dick, America, then maybe we're getting somewhere where actions can be taken. But they're not even, like, there's this whole, like, idea that is being you know, kind of spread that what they're doing is, like, some sort of affront to America, that they're like, it's an insult to
it is kind of spoiled is what it is, you know. Some guy like me who works a 9-to-5 job to pay the bills, and you got these NFL players who probably make like 100 times as much money as me. They got supermodel wives, and they're acting like they're oppressed by the American system. I'm like, no, you got it great.
I do not think that they're acting like they are oppressed. They're acknowledging that there are people who still, like, you know, things aren't as you know, aren't as good as they should be in this for certain groups. And it's they're not doing it for themselves. They're not doing, I mean, arguably you could say that they're just, like, kind of
aggrandizement, basically,
and yada yada yada. But, you know, I think that they're kind of trying to put some you know, emphasis on a real problem, and there is a problem there. I mean, blacks are shot 2.5. They're like 2.5 to 3 times more likely to be shot than you know, than white people who and often
that's because they, as a proportion of the population, they commit more crimes. I'm sorry, that is how crime statistics back that up.
That doesn't mean we're talking about people when you adjust things per capita. We're talking about people who are committing crimes already. They get shot, and then also when you adjust things for unarmed people who get shot and all those other things, they still kind of are more that they're getting the shitty end of the stick.
Well, when it comes to unarmed people, unarmed does not mean not dangerous. A clenched fist or a hand to the throat can kill just as well as any weapon. The human body can itself be a deadly weapon in certain circumstances.
All right, yeah, but still, like, I don't know, like, the use of deadly force is nothing compared to a fist. So I don't know. Honestly, all
break someone's head open
is that there is a real. Some people like to kind of, you know, diminish it, but there is a real problem that they're actually, like, trying to put emphasis on, and I think that kneeling is the most innocuous way to kind of do that. So just kind of let them fucking do it, and, like. It's
like I said, I don't care that they're doing it. It doesn't bother me in the slightest. I could give 2 shits whether they stand or kneel, but I just don't think their cause of what they're protesting, I just don't think it's legit, because I mean, yes, there are cops who abuse their power. There are cops who absolutely.
Let's say it's incorrect.
Yes.
Let's say it's incorrect. Okay, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt and say that they're completely fucking wrong. So what? They should still be able to do it. If they're kneeling to, like, you know, try and raise awareness that the earth is flat, they should fucking be able to do it, you know? Because it's just so innocuous. It's so, like, let them do this one thing and don't insist that they hate America because they're doing that either, because that doesn't just because they're trying to kind of, like, whatever. I don't need to kind of, like, belabor it, but honestly, like, To me, all it is a manufactured controversy that Trump is.
That it is. That it absolutely is.
Yeah,
there's so many more important things in the world going on right now than to worry about that. I mean, ISIS is gaining strength, or North Korea's weapons. About 60 million people in the world at the present moment are being sold as slaves in some part of the third world or through underground sex trafficking. And this, all right, climate change and what have you, mass extinctions. And that's an issue that people want to focus on. Yeah.
And then there's Puerto Rico. There's all sorts of things that are happening like right here, right now within the American sphere. And it's really just a manufactured controversy that they play up so that they can get, shore up their base and get like people outraged. And I guess my point is that it's just fucking funny that you have people like Andy Worski and Paul Joseph Watson and other people who typically kind of make fun of triggered SJWs for kind of getting angry over trivial things. And here they are getting like having a fucking conniption over some football players kneeling. It does.
A friend of mine named Hayes, who's got another channel on YouTube, he coined a term for people like that. He called them alt snowflakes. And I'm like, that kind of like fits like people on the right who kind of have what you're saying of snowflake tile hissy fits the same way regressive leftists do over kind of also trivial bullshit. So yes, I do see what you're talking about there.
Yeah, I mean, I just call them right-wing SJWs, I mean,
yeah, that also fits. The right-wing SJWs also definitely fits with that. Worski, yeah, he definitely goes off the handle on a lot of things, and he doesn't think things through a lot before he mouths off.
He could be funny.
He can be funny.
He could be funny, and I just like to see him kind of check his facts a little more, because I don't watch him very often, but every time I do, he just kind of makes certain statements and gets like major premises extremely wrong. And I saw he did an interview with, or kind of a hangout with Omni Destiny. You know who that is, right? The guy who did the JonTron.
Yeah, I know JonTron is.
Yeah, well, he did that like sort of notorious JonTron conversation where JonTron got like, according to some people, like kind of a little like questionable in terms of like his things he was saying about race and shit. Got a little dicey. But anyway, yeah, his conversation with Destiny was pretty brutal. Like he in my opinion, he got his ass handed to him. Yeah, like Destiny's pretty good at kind of identifying like ways in which the right are just being like triggered snowflakes. He's pretty good at that.
Yeah.
Anyway,
like on my channel, I'm sure you've seen a few of my videos. I've called out like both sides. Like I've done responses to Lawrence Southern and Paul Joseph Watson. Did a video that was critical of Sargon. I had that whole drama where I was highly critical of Barry. But I've also done a few videos mocking the hell out of Steve Shives. I've done a response to Riley Dennis. All right. And when Ashley Judd went on this horrible, it was by far my most successful video, like when semi-viral back in January. She went on this like self-entitled rant about how horrible it is that she as a celebrity gets hate comments on the internet. And I just kind of went off on her on that one because I'm like, bitch, you're a multi-millionaire actress. Of course, you're going to get more attention than the average person. Of course, some idiots are going to give you some hate comments.
Well, yeah, that's sort of like when somebody who has never been on the internet meets the internet, and yeah, that's really kind of what happens. I mean, the things that she talks about are fucked up and shitty, but it's sort of like she expects there to be some sort of easy answer to it, and it's just sort of like, yeah, people are going to be douchebags. Sometimes you have to move on. Although I don't know, it depends on the situation. Like I'd have to hear her rant again. Like if there were people who were legit like threatening her life, threatening to rape her, I don't know. I think that she has a right. I think people have a right to kind of report that. And
well, of course, she has a right to report that, but that's not really what she was saying, though. She was saying a lot more than that. She was talking about how online misogyny is something, and she basically was framing it all in a gendered lens. But I've gotten hate comments just like that all the time, and I'm not a major celebrity, yet I've still had a lot of people say really, really nasty shit to me. All right, I'm sure you've had a lot of people say nasty shit to you. We both dudes, we both got dicks. So the way she tried to focus it all as a gendered lens and internet misogyny, I thought was just total bullshit.
Yeah, I'd have to see it again. I kind of remember thinking it was really cringy.
It was.
But
he also said, was it that the tech industry? This is what pissed me off the most. All right, when she said that the tech industry was sexist because they have few women there, and she said that the gaming industry, okay, was profiting off misogyny because of violence in video games. I'm like, bitch, how many violent movies have you started?
Right.
That pissed me off to no end. What a hypocrite she is there.
She hasn't made too many super violent movies.
Heat. I love Heat, but it's pretty violent.
Yeah, but it doesn't glorify. I mean, like I think overall, I think overall she probably doesn't play video games, and
no,
so I like if video games were the way she thinks they are in her imagination, then I think she'd have more of a point than she actually did. But she was talking about something that it was pretty obvious that she didn't really investigate, and she probably watched like half an Anita Sarkeesian video and was like,
yeah, oh, that is exactly what she did.
But I do think that they're like in movies, and I don't think it's done very often these days in like Hollywood films. I do think that there is a way that one can be kind of like irresponsible in the way that you can kind of portray any group, really. Like it could be women, it could be black people, it could be white people, whatever. But I don't think that she's made any movies that fall into that category. So I wouldn't call her a hypocrite for that. I wouldn't call her a hypocrite because she's been in movies that are violent. Anyway, but it's a small distinction. I still do. I'm with you that like her overall, the TED Talk that she gave was a little ignorant and uninformed, and kind of like coming at it from the point of view of somebody who just really didn't know about video games and the way things go down in the internet.
Right. But some of the comments were basically just like random internet nerds hitting on her. Like, I love Ash. You know, I normally don't go for older chicks, but Ashley Judd is hot AF. All right, I'm like, so what? You know, Sam. All right, yeah, it's a little crude, but so fucking what? You know, I mean, it felt like a really self-entitled person complaining about incredibly trivial things to me. That's how it came off to me, and that's why I did that response. And it was since it was my most successful video, my audience seemed to respond well to it.
Cool.
Yeah. So what future projects do you have in mind with your feline master? How about that?
Well, let's see. I think we're going to be doing a Halloween special, an Alex Jones themed Halloween special, because Alex Jones has done a lot of kind of Halloween themed stuff, and so we're going to do kind of like a compendium of batshit crazy Alex Jonesy stuff on Halloween.
That could be really fun. Well, you could say what, that Alex Jones is like a vampire or something like that. That he's like wolfing out. Yeah, that could be funny.
Then what else? I have to see. I'm not exactly sure if I'm a little too late for it, but I was possibly going to do a video on all these like really cringy responses to Eminem's rap at the Bet Awards the other day. There have been like a bunch of like really lame responses, like Stephen Molyneux, Baked Alaska. I don't know if you know who that is, but he's like kind of.
I've
like,
heard of Baked Alaska. Yeah, he's
yeah,
kind of like more of an all right type.
Yeah, he is. He's a total schmuck. Mark Dice. I mean, there's a bunch of people who kind of made these really lame. Oh, Diamonds and Silk. You know who Diamonds and Silk are?
Diamonds and Silk. Oh, that one.
They're like these fat black women who are like Trump fans. And
I think I've heard. Yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. But I haven't watched any of that.
Yeah, I wouldn't expect you to. It's total crap. But CC might respond to that. What else?
Good cringe factor. Like one of my favorite CC videos was the one that responded to Lauren Southern, like, a child is kidnapping another child, truly it's the end of Europe. That was really fun.
Thank you. Yeah. I wish more people would take her on. She's truly full of shit, and she tries to mask her kind of alt-right tendencies in like more kind of I don't know, like peace. It's not really, most people don't consider it PC, but it's basically like she tries to put it in PC terms. Like she'll call, instead of saying white genocide, she'll talk about the Great Replacement. It's basically the same thing. Yeah, then I have a few videos that I'm just not exactly sure. Like there's going to be a Let's Play with this like first person game where you're Jesus.
Oh, that sounds like it'll be funny. I watched your recent CC's recent video about that Steven Krauthammer video. And I actually commented, I'm like, you know what? I should track down that movie and do my own Loudmouth review of that movie, because it seems like massive cringe, like on the level. It was like The Room, basically, except worse.
It's pretty horrible. I think I don't know if you've ever seen The Brothers McMullen, but it's definitely going for that sort of vibe. Like, you know, this insightful film about like men in their early 20s trying to navigate relationships. And it's just vapid as fucking hell. And it's really there were so many parts that I wish I could have thrown in where they're like where they are trying to like shoehorn in this really lame Republican kind of like talking points. You know, just I had to finish up the video because it was at the 20-minute mark, and it's hard when you're like covering an entire movie where there's so many moments that are hilariously terrible. But yeah, that I would not recommend anyone watch that movie. It's not like it's not like I don't know, The Apple or The Room, where you're or Troll 2, where you're going to be laughing the entire time at how bad it is.
Right. It was just boring.
Yeah, with like random moments of cringy hilarity.
I mean, Krauthammer's done a couple things that are funny. Like I watched this one Young Turks parody, and I will admit I laughed.
You're getting it mixed up with Charles Krauthammer. It's Steven Crowder.
Crowder. Did I fuck? Crowder. Yeah, he did a Young Turks parody where he played both Jink and Anna Kasparian, where he went in drag. And all right, what's funny is he didn't even bother to shave his chest when he was playing Anna Kasparian.
Yeah, I don't know. Some people think he's genuinely funny. I think the dude is really ham-fisted, and he's got good comic timing. Like there are certain things about his presentation that I like. He basically, I think if you give him a script, he can be funny. But when he's writing his own material, I've never found it that funny.
He's a lot of cringe. I will agree with that.
And that Cenk thing, I mean, like, he was using Paul Joseph Watson and Dave Rubin and a bunch of other people. I just found it pretty cringy, to tell you the truth. I don't have much love or respect for that man.
No, I mean, Paul Watson, he's an absolute crank. Like, it really bothers me that like a lot of so-called more mainstream figures on the right have like been legitimizing Paul Watson and his kookiness. And when you point out something really batshit that Paul Joseph Watson has said, they'll just ignore you. They won't even try defending it because they know they can't.
There's this there's this misconception that like he stopped being a fucking idiot and like a conspiracy theorist a couple years ago, and he keeps doing it. Like I hear him making references to the Illuminati all the fucking time. Recently, he was kind of he didn't come out and say it, but he was basically giving those Las Vegas shooter like conspiracies.
Yeah, I heard he was peddling that shit. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he's a piece of shit. Even if he stopped doing all that stuff cold turkey, in my opinion, one, he'd have to stop working for InfoWars, because InfoWars is just a cesspool of insane bullshit. He'd have to do that, and he'd have to really like make amends. He'd really have to say, look, I am sorry for peddling this garbage.
Which he has not done.
Fucking, yeah, of course, he's never going to do it.
He's never going to do that. Not a chance.
Dude, it's really bothering me, dude, that your poster is so slanted. Can you do me a favor and when this is oh, can you do it now? Are you just taking it off?
There you go. That works. Happy now?
Yeah, that's way better.
Wow. That's a poster for my book that I wrote. I'm a science fiction author. Not that my book is sold worth of shit, but I tried. I gave it my all.
Sure. Well, I'm not saying, leave it down forever. I'm just saying when you get a chance,
straighten it. All right. Yeah, it's like a kind of like a junior novel. It's set 20,000 years ago during the Ice Age, and this cave boy who's 14 years old, and the book's told from his point of view. He meets a alien that crash lands on the planet, and they go on a kind of journey to get these crystals to help his spaceship work again, and they encounter all kinds of threats. The title of it, Stars of the Sky, is kind of metaphorical, referring to the fact that as all ancient people, Crone assumed that stars were simply little dots in the sky. He didn't know how vast the universe was, and he learns that from the alien visitor, just the vastness of the cosmos.
Wow.
Yeah.
Sounds like Ridley Scott territory there.
Kind of, but it is aimed at more kids, so it's more simplistic. Plus there's like one conversation in the book that a lot of people have told me they enjoyed was when they see this herd of mammoths walking by, the aliens watching them walk by, and he says, "So many large, magnificent creatures on your planet. My planet used to have a lot of large beasts too, but most of them have gone extinct." And then Crone says, "Are you saying mammoths could go extinct?" Yeah, all right. Obviously, he just assumes, no, mammoths can't possibly go extinct. But the audience, of course, knows mammoths did go extinct. So it's meant to make the audience think.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and there's maybe some absurd elements, but it's meant to be a fun story. Probably, I wrote it a few years ago. Probably if I had written it today, may have done a few things a bit different, but I guess that's kind of the case with anyone's first book.
I like the idea of a cave kid from 20,000 years ago meeting an alien. There's something there.
Right, and another thing about it, I was determined that all my aliens, if there was a movie made about them, they would have to be animated. None of them would be like Spock, where he's a guy with the pointed ears. Like the alien, the main character, he's basically described as a giant snake with 6 arms, with 6 limbs. All right, and another feature is I had a pet gecko as a kid that would sometimes lick its eyes with its tongue. So I kind of had the idea that that this creature doesn't blink. All right, in order to wash its eyes out, instead of blinking, it would constantly lick its eyes with its tongue the way a gecko does.
Ah, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, so I kind of tried to have really creative designs of my aliens. And I've had other ideas for like future novels, but it cost me more money to publish the damn book than I made in sales is the main thing. So I actually, one of the things I'm hoping to build if I get a name on YouTube someday is to maybe use that name to like sell books, and become an author. But I don't know if I ever will. My channel's teeny tiny.
Well, you never know.
Right. I mean, things that can grow your channel can be connected to the right people, or be a hot chick. That'll help you big time. But of course.
Yeah, dude, you should try and be a hotter chick. That's what you should put all your resources into.
Yes, do the Blair go the Blair White route and get my dick snapped off. No, not gonna do that.
All right, I guess you don't want it.
No, I guess I don't.
I'm willing to pay the price.
Yes. All right. If the choice is between having a successful YouTube channel and having a penis, I choose penis.
All right. Well, as long as you know where your priorities are.
That is where my priorities are. My priorities are in the penis. All right. Because what's the point of success if you don't have a penis? All right. What else has been going? What other dramas or whatever? What other things are kind of in the news lately? Yeah. Oh, the Vadim. Oh, I think we lost Vadim here. I don't know. This is is he gonna come back in? Oh shit. Damn it.
I'm back. I'm back.
What happened there, man?
I'm sorry. No, nobody panic. Everything's all right. Everything is okay. Don't fucking freak out. I was kind of like eliminate. I have all these windows open that was kind of slowing things down, and I was an idiot, and I clicked off ours by mistake.
Well, we all make mistakes, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's fine. That's fine.
My first mistake.
Yes. Yes. Hopefully, you'll never make another mistake.
Probably not. I've had a pretty good track record, on nearly a little over 3 decades without making a mistake. So,
right. Well, that's because you have CC being your guide and your master. You're lucky enough to have that.
So yeah, what's up? What did you want to talk about?
Let's look at the headlines. But Trump on FBI players. What do you see? What do you think the best way to deal with North Korea? That's a big issue people have been talking about.
I feel like we should probably just do what we've been doing. If we didn't have, but not what Trump has been doing. You know what? I don't profess to like really know exactly what to do. I just know that we shouldn't nuke them because that's really fucking stupid. That would create aside.
If they hit us first, we have to retaliate.
What?
Well, if they hit us first, we have to retaliate. If they attack American soil, there has to be some kind of severe retaliation.
Well, it depends, though. It depends kind of. If they, I do not think that they're going to nuke America, but
I don't think so either. Obviously, that'd be an insane thing to do.
Is that Trump is being a fucking idiot, and he's just he's like all bluster and saying really idiotic things, and he's reckless when it comes to that issue. Well, he's reckless in general.
Well, Kim Jong-un, we're dealing here with essentially a real-life Joffrey Baratheon, you know?
We're dealing with a real-life Joffrey Baratheon with Donald Trump as well. Donald Trump is totally not of... I mean, he's like you could say he's of sound mind and he's just an idiot. But I mean, have you heard what that Corker guy, Bob Corker, said about Trump recently? Bob Corker is a Republican who has recently talked about how the White House is just like basically like, how did he describe it? He said that it's basically like a daycare center, and
yes. Oh, I did hear about that. Yeah, and Rex Tillerson, Trump's own Secretary of State, actually called him a moron. Like, wow. Well, one of the things I heard from people who stoned Trump during the election is they said,
"Finish." This is important. He said not only that it's a daycare center, but he said that he was seriously afraid that he could just start World War III, that would not be the most shocking thing to him, the way that he is running things. And for a Republican to say that, I could understand a Democrat saying that, but a Republican saying that, I mean, that's really damning. So
that is damning.
Yeah. So sorry. I didn't mean to
I understand. I didn't mean to interrupt your point, I guess, but I was just adding that his own members of his own staff, his own administration, have called him a moron. So, and I was going to emphasize, during the election, a lot of people, when they were saying that Trump wouldn't be that bad, they were saying, oh, even if he's incompetent, he's so experienced in business, he'll hire all the right people. You know, how many people has he hired that have been booted out later? How many scandals has he had with his cabinet picks?
Sure. And, and he was talking about how, I mean, rightfully, he was talking about how Hillary had all these connections to Goldman Sachs and people like that, and he now has 5 people from Goldman Sachs on his team. And I mean, there's just it's a joke. I mean, the idea that this guy is cleaning the swamp or draining the swamp is just what amazes me is that there are people who still act like that's a thing, like something that he's either going to do or that he's in the process of doing. It's all just a fucking embarrassment. It's insane.
Yeah, Dave Cullen, I remember in a video a couple months ago, he was saying that Trump may have been compromised by the Washington intelligentsia when Trump was doing stupid shit. I'm like, no, he's doing dumb shit because that's how he's always been. Okay, that's just how he's pretty much been governing exactly as anyone could have predicted that he would, from his behavior during the campaign. As you would say, your feline master would say, his fart brain behavior.
Right. Yeah, I just don't really understand why people ever thought that the guy would be an honest actor. I mean, he arrived on the scene. Really, his intro to political life was accusing Barack Obama of being born in Kenya. And that is, you can look at that one of two ways. Either it was an opportunistic moment where he knew he was lying through his teeth and was just doing it to curry favor with Republicans in general. Or you could look at it like he's a total fucking idiot and he actually bought because you really do have to be an idiot to assume all if you really think about the conspiracy, it assumes so many things. It assumes that in 1961 or whenever he was born, he was the chosen one. So they lied about where he was born, and
they were planning his rise to power before he was even born, which is beyond ridiculous. And here's the main thing that's really total bullshit. Even if Obama was born in Kenya, he would still be constitutionally eligible to be president. If one of your parents is an American citizen, you are eligible to be president no matter where you are born. All right? So It wouldn't matter if Obama was born in Kenya. As long as Ann Dunham was his mother, who was an American citizen, all right, he still would be constitutionally eligible to be president.
Yeah, and that's why, I mean, they don't give a shit about that. When Ted Cruz was running, I mean, he had the same
shit against him, yeah, because he was born in Canada. When, of course, again, Ted Cruz is eligible to be president if he had won. All right, he is constitutionally eligible because one of his parents was an American citizen.
Yep. So yeah, I just don't understand why people thought this guy who was.
Like if you read the Constitution, it doesn't say you have to be born on American soil to be president. It says you have to be a natural-born citizen, as in you have to be an American citizen at birth. All right, and we do give citizenship to the children of citizens, even if they're born abroad. So, yeah.
So basically, all I'm saying is that he had all the hallmarks of being a total fucking lying ass con artist. And there were all these people who were talking, had good points about Hillary Clinton's corruption.
Oh, she is corrupt.
But one, there really wasn't much of a reason to think that her presidency would be much worse than Barack Obama's. I'm not saying, I was not a fan of hers by any stretch of the imagination, but there was no reason to think that she would be anywhere close to the disaster that we currently have on our hands right now. And it's really pathetic to see so many people, I still see people, some of whom I consider friends, people like the Amazing Atheist, who will kind of still to this day, just the other day, I saw him tweet saying something to the effect of, if she was president, we'd be in war with Russia, blah, blah, blah.
That's total bullshit, yeah.
Yeah, it really is. He's really just kind of trying, for some reason, to create some sort of false equivalency between the two in terms of incompetency. And there just is no... It's just no, man. I don't know why he's doing it. I don't know if he genuinely believes it or if he's kind of trying to appeal to both sides and not alienate one side. I really don't know what the deal is. It's too bad because he should be calling this shit out more. He was calling out Mitt Romney left and right before the 2012 election, and just talking about how that just could not be an option for America. And now, I don't know, I guess things have just swung so much to the right that he just doesn't give a shit to call things out nearly as much as he used to.
Maybe. I can't really speak for that man. Certainly, he's gotten into a lot of shit for things that he looks the other way on. If you remember the whole naked ape drama, so looking the other way on the wrong thing, and you can get into a whole shitload of drama. But what was I going to say? But the main thing about both the Obama presidency and pretty much the entire Democrat Party that makes it pretty much impossible for me to support any of them is the fact that the way Obama would coddle Islam relentlessly, all right, throughout his entire presidency, all right, romanticize Islam, and it pissed me off as an atheist, particularly when he would say things like that. He would act like atheists don't exist, or in some of his speeches on religion, he would say that their religion just the same as ours, like everyone's either a Christian or a Muslim, atheists don't even exist.
Well, I don't know about the atheist thing. Maybe he didn't mention that, but the idea that he coddled Islam is pretty ridiculous to me when he upped drone strikes substantially in those regions.
Oh yeah, he was willing to fight and kill terrorists. Yeah, he ordered them to kill Bin Laden and everything. Yes, all right. But whenever he spoke about the religion of Islam, he would relentlessly praise their religion, and I could not stand that.
No, I mean, I think he was just being a good statesman and kind of like, you know, kind of just being, I mean, kind of acting like he wants their heads on sticks is not exactly like the best way to comport oneself as a politician, and that's really.
Well, no, you don't need to act like their heads are on a stick, but you can't be like apologizing for YouTube videos that offend the Muslim world, like he did in 2012, which pissed. Oh, that was horrible. His administration condemned some shitty YouTube video.
He killed fucking Bin Laden. He killed Bin Laden, and those other fuckers.
Well, SEAL Team 6 killed Bin Laden, but.
No, but yes, they did, but under his orders, and he was actually like pretty.
He made the right call there, yeah.
He totally made the right call, and I don't buy it. I don't buy it when people say that he like coddled Islam and stuff like that. I mean, it just I think it's kind of Republican talking points that are made to make the guy look bad. I think, if anything, he was too harsh on them in terms of the.
No.
I'm talking about in terms of the drone strikes. I'm talking about in terms of not getting out of those wars like he said he was. I'm talking about not shutting down Guantanamo Bay when he said he was going to. So, I mean, all of those things were kind of just things that he, you know, promises that he made that he didn't keep, which in the long run, which in the long run, I think would actually be better in terms of our standing globally, and like, you know, it only creates more jihadists to have like their.
I don't agree with that at all. All right, what creates jihadists is the teachings of Islam. Islam teaches that you must fight offensive wars to convert non-believers to Islam. It's just what it teaches. You know, the jihadists are basically just following the text of their religion.
But that, no. I mean, of course, that is an aspect of it, but it doesn't happen in a vacuum, or else all of the the people who follow Islam in America would be bombing the shit out of you know, every single corner of America. It's a combination of this hideous religion and also the fact that these areas are occupied and they're war-torn and they are treated like fucking cow shit by you know, not just America, but certain European factions. And don't get me wrong, it's a complex issue, and to a certain degree, we should be fighting them in certain cases. But I mean, come on, like the Iraq War was totally unjustified.
You know, that when there was a series of shark attacks off the coast of Egypt, okay, shark attacks. The Egyptian government told the people and caught sharks to look for Jewish control devices. They actually had a large number of people of Egypt believe that Israel was sending sharks over to Egypt to eat Egyptians, okay? That shows if you give them no reason to hate you, they'll make one up because they're delusional. They don't live in the real world. They live in some Harry Potter fantasy.
When did this happen? I mean, I've never heard about this, so I just can't.
I'll send you the link after the chat. I'll find the link. But yeah, it showed various hilarious examples. Oh, another funny example was this one that was caught with a device around its foot. Okay, they were saying that it was sent also by the West to like spy that they were using the animals and the birds to like spy in the Muslim world. All right, in reality, that device on the bird's foot was put there by French scientists to track the bird's migratory.
Well, I'm gonna have to ask you not to bring up these like really ridiculous things that I like. It just there's so much context that's missing here that I don't even know what the fuck that's about.
Well, it's examples of the conspiracy theories that are very prevalent in the Muslim world. A lot of them believe a lot of far-fetched conspiracy theories that are totally at odds with reality.
Sure. You know, the 9/11 conspiracy theories are abundant in that region, and that's one of the reasons why I really loathe them so much, because a lot of people don't realize that the 9/11 conspiracy theories that are, that exist to this day in America, they help fuel like jihadists and.
Oh, absolutely. Like, I love CC's video of debunking 9/11 conspiracy theories. That was also a really good video when Sargon made a few idiotic statements about that. And I really, very well researched video, I got to say.
Thank you. Look, I just want to take a second to make it crystal clear, because I know that the people kind of love to take things out of context. And I do want to say that I very much am not saying that Islam does not play a key role in terrorism or the wars that we're fighting in general, because I know that there are certain people that would love to kind of take snippets of this and say like, oh, Vadim just thinks it's all external factors and it has nothing to do with Islam. No,
you weren't saying that.
Absolutely. Okay, good. I always feel like I kind of need to kind of emphasize those sorts of.
Yeah, absolutely. But I was really bringing up more of the paranoid delusions of the Muslim world, really just to emphasize the fact that it's a lot more. Even if we were to withdraw like every troop from the Middle East, it really wouldn't end these insane anti-Semitic, anti-American conspiracy theories. Those would still propagate, and those would still lead to jihad violence. So that's
why I think that we have to, like we did in World War II, kind of implement a certain degree of charity and help these places rebuild, educate them, put money into feeding them. Try not to give them things like, actual weaponry and shit so that they can like build armies to fuck us up. But I think that if we genuinely, maybe it's too late at this point. Maybe we've kind of fucked shit up so much that they're not going to forget. But in general, I think that it helps to be charitable and kind of try and help rebuild a civilization that does wonders in terms of creating goodwill towards and that's really kind of like what made America great back in that World War II generation. Like, we were kind of one of the first civilizations that after a catastrophic war, didn't just say like, okay, fuck you, fend for yourselves. So I don't know.
Yeah, right. The way we rebuilt Japan, whereas if we were a predatory colonial power, as we're often falsely accused of, then how come America didn't basically just take over Japan or make it an American territory after they surrendered in World War II, or Germany or what have you? We won those wars decisively, got unconditional surrender, and yet we don't. Yet those countries still govern themselves.
Right.
Like back in World War II, what's kind of odd is there was actually a ceasefire that was proposed by the Imperial Army of Japan before we dropped the bomb on them, but it was rejected because they said nothing except unconditional surrender was acceptable. All right, that's just not how wars are ever fought today.
Yeah. So, what else, dude?
What else? Okay. Let's say what else? Oh, I loved it when you like did that joke about after the death of Tom Petty, and I love that you got Ranting Monkey pissed off at you, and a lot of people were calling him as a hypocrite. I thought that was pretty goddamn funny.
Yeah, that's really ridiculous. They were really comparing apples and oranges there. They
really were, yeah.
I guess maybe we should kind of give the people who are listening a little context. Let me see if I can find that tweet. The day that Tom Petty died, I think it'll take a while for me to find it, so I'm going to try and wing it and try and remember it. But the day that Tom Petty died, both he and Alex Jones were trending.
Yeah, you said, I remember. It was that sad day when you see Tom Petty and Alex Jones both trending, and Alex Jones isn't the one who died.
Yeah, it was something like that. It was worded slightly differently, but that was the gist of it. And it was a joke, and it was retweeted maybe like 40, 50 times. And there are a lot of people who love to point out when they think that I'm being hypocritical, and usually I'm maybe every now and then I am, but in that instance I wasn't, because
No.
I you know, had a problem with the fuck. I'm sorry. I'm getting a little tired here.
Because Alex Jones was peddling this conspiracy theories about that Vegas shooting that same day that Tom Petty died. But Tom Petty died on the same day as that fucking Vegas shooting.
Right, but they were calling me a hypocrite because of the fact that I had a problem with Sargon of Akkad laughing when the skeptic feminist shot his girlfriend.
Yeah.
And I think that those are two completely different situations.
They really are. I totally agreed. I raised some hell over the way they behaved in that stream as well. I mean, I've made dark jokes myself, but like right after you hear someone you know was murdered, you make all these sick jokes about her death. I thought that was fucked up, you know?
Yeah, well, you know, I always think of Louis C.K. has this what I think is a hilarious joke about 9/11. He says, you know, I think the true measure of how horrible a person you are is how long it took you to masturbate in between the destruction of Tower 1 and how long it took you to masturbate after 9/11. And then he says, and for me, it was in between the destruction of Tower 1 and Tower 2.
Holy
and now that joke is so like wrong but hysterical. Now look, if he was to tell that joke within the first few days of when 9/11 happened, he would legitimately be crucified for it. And if he happened to tell that joke at a 9/11 memorial, that would be another place where, you know, so there's a context for jokes. There are these people kind of like want to act like all, you know, like all you know, jokes, all like the rules should always apply evenly to like every single situation. And no, you look at the context, you look at, you know, who's being talked about. In the case of the Alex Jones thing, Alex Jones is a total piece of shit, and this other woman was like this innocent victim who had never really done anything that controversial in her life. There are all these reasons why that was just a really poor comparison, and that guy was clearly just looking for excuses.
He was. I've dealt with that guy. He loves swiping at various people on his shit list. You're probably one of them, and he swipes at Teal all the time.
Right. Okay.
It's kind of sad. Like you'll find like really petty Teal all the time.
Yeah, I don't pay much attention to Ranting Monkey. I just see him kind of like being an annoying twit in my feed every now and then.
I know, but yeah, because Teal is probably my favorite YouTuber. He's made some really fantastically well-researched videos. And that's what I really like to see on YouTube, someone who really put their homework into what they're talking about, someone who's not just making stuff up. Like CC's video on the 9/11 conspiracy is a good example. It was clear CC did some research on 9/11 conspiracies and on debunking them, and that's what made it a good video, and it was combined with various humor, so you both learn and you laugh all at the same time. All right.
Well, thank you. Yeah, 9/11 conspiracies have kind of been like conspiracy theories in general, but 9/11 conspiracy theories in particular have been kind of like a fascination of mine for well over a decade. So a lot of that stuff is stuff that I've just kind of so there were a couple things that I learned as I was doing it, but most of it was stuff that, like, you know, knowledge I've accumulated over the years.
Yeah, what was the whole fault? It fell into its footprint. I'm right in Yeah, the whole nonsense about Building 7 that I hear so much about. All right, why Building 7, like why it fell without getting much press? Because given everything that happened that day, a small built office building that had 0 casualties wasn't going to make the news much.
Yeah, it's just weird that people think that that they had to taking down the Twin Towers wasn't enough. That this that the yeah that the World Trade Center 7, which, like you just said, was totally unpopulated. Like how would that help add to their efforts to go to war?
It had 2 massive towers fall on top of it. Okay, it's a wonder it stood basically throughout the entire day. Like didn't come down to like the evening. All right, but that is they say no planes hit it. Yeah, well, 2 giant towers fell on top of it.
Yeah, dude. I'm sorry, but I'm kind of like super tired. I had like a pretty like heavy day, and maybe we could wrap this up soon.
Okay, yeah, we can wrap it up anytime you like. Yeah. Well, I definitely appreciate you joining me in my channel. I've been a fan of yours for a while, so it was really cool to chat with you.
Oh, thanks, man. Thanks. I appreciate you having me on, and make sure that when you repost that poster, you get it nice and straight there, not slanted. When you have guests over, it's just not gonna look good otherwise.
Okay.
But yeah, man, we'll talk on Twitter. And other than that, was there anything else?
I guess we can wrap this up. Thank you for joining me, Vadim.
All right, you're very welcome.
All right.
Later.